The Billionaire Romance. Chapter 1. Connected by Heart. Synopsis. They have always been secret admirers since the first day their path crossed. It took the two of them just one night to confess their feelings to each other, after which they decided to quench their sexual thirst, creating a bond that binds them forever. Look at me, Gabriela. Why have you been avoiding me? Terrence asked her with his eyes showing so many emotions that Gabby couldn't even take in at once. Even though Terrence was the one hosting the office party, he had found a way to ditch the party as he told his best friend, Ian, to help take over. Ian, knowing the reason why, gladly decided to cover up for him and all. The truth was that Terrence had a thing for Gabriela since the first day he saw her, and that was the day she set her foot in his company, which was 2 months ago, and since then, he couldn't stop thinking about her. Her face was all he could see in his dreams for the past 8 weeks. There was also something bothering Terrence, and it was the fact that he thinks what he feels for Gabriela was one-sided and that she doesn't feel the same way about him. Thinking of that alone really hurts Terrence in ways that it was even hard to explain. And to make matters worse, Gabriela had always avoided him at all costs, which annoyed Terrence the more, because whenever he finds the courage to approach her, she screws it up with every excuse on earth she could manage to come up with. She always gives him a straight face that says, if it is not business, then I don't think there's anything to talk about. The only time Terrence could remember them being together in the same room was always when there was a board meeting for them to attend. Her presence was required as Gabriela happens to be the head of human resources. So, it has always been Terrence and his feelings. Even Ian often pities him as he knew his best friend had already fallen in love with Gabriela. She was all he would talk about whenever they were together, and Ian found that so adorable as he knew Terrence had been trapped real big. Finally, his best friend feels something for a woman. Trust me, Terrence has done all he could to forget about Gabriela. But the more he did that, the more he found himself falling harder for the 26-year-old beauty. Terrence couldn't take it anymore tonight, so he did what he had to do. Terrence's company was celebrating its 4th anniversary tonight. Just within its 4 years of establishment, the success of the company was second to none. It was something Terrence could be proud of. Achieving this before the age of 30. The party was to be hosted on the top floor of Tennon's Inc., and indeed the planners had done a great job in making the party a success. Terrence kept it at the back of his mind to greatly thank the human resource team. Halfway into the party, being the CEO of Tennon's Inc., Terrence gave his speech, after which he was congratulated by every successful person in that room, and that came to a halt when he set his eyes on someone. Gabriela. Beautiful would be an understatement to describe how she looked. Her cocktail dress fitted her perfectly. It didn't fail to reveal all the curves in her body that even Terrence hadn't known existed until now. She had minimal makeup on her face with an adorable glow, and the way she parked her hair was just so perfect. Terrence did not also fail to notice how other men kept on staring at her. What provoked him more was the way she was laughing freely with a particular man. He wished that man was him. He wants to be the one to put a smile on her face instead of some kind of stranger. And with that, Terrence approached Ian and told him to take over the party as he handed him his glass of unfinished wine. Before Ian could even ask him what the matter was, Terrence had already left his sight with Ian's eyes trailing after him. Terrence walked towards Gabriela where she was laughing her ass out with the stranger. When he approached them, he took Gabriela's right hand possessively and dragged her away from the party into his office, not giving a damn if anyone saw them or not. Answer me, Gabby. Why do you keep avoiding me? Terrence asked her again as he raised her chin with his thumb, making her look him in the eye. His is not proper, Mr. Tennon. Please let me go, Gabriela managed to say, trying to ignore the spark his touch was making her feel. It's Terrence to you, Gabby. Cut out those formalities, Terrence said, slightly vexed as he cornered her the more behind his office desk, making no room for her to escape. But you are my boss. Gabby defended immediately. So that's the reason why you decided to keep your distance away from me, Terrence stated, and Gabby couldn't say anything as she just looked away from him. Who is he? Tennon asked, referring to the guy Gabby was talking with at the party. Is that important? Gabby replied almost immediately. I need to know. Gabby, just please tell me the truth. Is he your boyfriend? Tennon asked whilst dreading her reply at the same time. That's Aaron, my cousin, Gabby mumbled, and Terrence let out a sigh of relief as he rested his forehead against Gabby's and wrapped his arms possessively around her waist, pulling her closer to him. Gabby felt something she never felt before. She felt safe in his arms. And before she could even comprehend what she was doing, she wrapped her arms around him also, which made Terrence smile like crazy. Both of them stood like that for a while before Terrence broke the hug and looked into Gabby's beautiful eyes. I was jealous. Seeing you talking with him and making you smile like that. I was really mad. Mad at myself for not being the one to put that smile on your face. I'm so sorry for dragging you away like that. Please forgive me, Terrence said with pleading eyes. I forgive you, Gabby whispered. Thank you, Terrence replied. He gave her a quick kiss on her cheek, which made Gabby's cheek turn red as she tried to look everywhere else but him. Terrence chuckled. Don't be shy around me, Gabby. I love it when you blush. You look so adorable, Terrence said with a smile as Gabby playfully hit him on his chest. You are just saying that to make me feel special, Gabby mumbled with a pout. I mean it. And as cliché as this might sound, I like you, Gabriela, very much. Since the first day I set my eyes on you, you are all I could think of. It kills me every time you ignore me. I mean it. What I feel for you is something I have never felt for anyone else. It is something I would love to explore with you. Would you give us a chance? Please? Terrence admitted and asked hopefully as he looked into her eyes. I don't know about that, Terrence, Gabby replied as she looked away from him. Terrence smiled at that. She called him by his first name. He couldn't help but think that he was finally succeeding in breaking those walls she built around herself. Besides that, with her reply, he saw a very different Gabriela. The shy one who looked scared of being engaged with him. He admired her strength as he saw that she was a type of person who may be weak on the inside but appeared to be strong on the outside. He took Gabby's face in his hands and spoke to her sincerely. Do you feel anything for me, Gabby? I want to know. Do you like me? It took a while for Gabby to answer, and when she eventually did, she nodded. Terrence couldn't help with a proud smile that crept to his lips. I do feel something for you, Terrence, but I don't think there will ever be a future for us, which is why I have always avoided you, Gabriela admitted. And why is that? Terrence asked, as a smile on his face slowly turned into a frown. He folded his arms. My past relationships ended so badly, Terrence, and I don't ever want to get hurt like that again. That's the last thing I will ever think of doing to you, Gabby. I would never hurt you, Terrence said, and Gabby looked away. Besides, you are my boss and this doesn't seem right, she defended. The truth was that Gabby also feels the same way about Terrence. But her past relationships put her off when it comes to men, as she never wants to get hurt again. I still don't believe that's a good reason for us to give up on each other. Because I happen to be your boss, Terrence said. Gabriela took Terrence's face into her hands. Trust me, Terrence. I like you a lot, and it also took me a lot to avoid you, and you have no idea how many times I've wished to be in your arms, with you holding me close and never wanting to let me go. And this, Gabby said, referring to the position they both were, is like a dream come true. You are the kind of man I've always wanted. Intelligent, smart, hardworking, handsome, and very respectful. Terrence, you have no idea how much I adore you. Not only do I look onto you as someone I would want to be with, but someone I would want to be like someday. You inspire me to be a better person. Terrence. But as for what you are asking, I will think about it. I'm not promising you a positive answer, but I'll think about it. For now, let's just remain as friends, Gabby said, which put a bigger smile on Terrence's face. I'm so happy you opened up to me. But that doesn't mean I won't stop trying until you accept to give us a chance, he said. That sounds pretty much like you, Gabby said, which earned a chuckle from both of them. You want to go somewhere private? Terrence asked, and Gabby nodded with a smile. With that, Terrence sneaked out of his office building with Gabby by his side. He took her to the bar. They had a couple of drinks and talked about random stuff, which caused both of them to laugh like crazy. After they were done at the bar, they both went to Terrence's house. Wow, I love it here already. You have great taste, Gabby said, referring to how big, nice and homey his house looked like. I'm glad you love it here, Terrence replied, grinning at her. Before he could even comprehend what he was doing, he approached her, looking straight into her eyes. I want you, Gabriela, he said with a very husky voice, which caused a shiver to run down her spine. I want you so bad, he whispered, after which he began kissing her neck, which erupted a moan from Gabby. Then take me, Gabby whispered as Terrence attacked her lips. I promise you, you won't regret this, Terrence said in between kisses as he lifted her in a bridal style and carried her into his room. He made love to her passionately. He pleasured her to the heights she never thought she could reach. They both couldn't get enough of each other. The next morning, Gabriela woke up with someone showering kisses on her face. She opened her eyes to find herself staring into the eyes of the most handsome man in the world. Good morning, sweetheart. Terrence leaned closer to her and kissed her lips. Good morning, Gabby replied shyly as she hid her face in his chest, snuggling closer to him. That gesture alone made Terrence smile more. It's Saturday. Let's cuddle some more, Gabby mumbled. Your wish is my command, my queen, he replied as they cuddled and slept for about another 2 hours before both of them decided to stand up from the bed. They both freshened up and made breakfast together. They were halfway through their meal when they heard someone open the door and a cute voice followed. Daddy, the tiny voice said. Gabriela looked in the direction where the voice came from. She saw a little girl running to. Welcome to download Joyread app to read more chapters of the Billionaire Romance novel online.